All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And what I will ask is if we can go into presenter speaker view. And I'm going to ask, we have a couple of questions for Monica and Eduardo. Eduardo, if you want to share a little bit about yourself first and the things that you do there and some of the projects that you're involved with your company in regards to your outsourcing or outreach. And then Monica, we're going to turn it over to you as well. And then if you could share a little bit about yourself as well. And I want to thank you both for taking the time to be here today. I know that you have action-packed days, so thank you so much. With that, Eduardo, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Eduardo Cruz. I'm the senior HR manager here at TC Transcontinental Packaging. I've been with the company going on 2 years. I've been doing HR for well over 20 years. But it's been really a neat process being able to be part of this company. We are a flexible packaging company located in Ontario. We are basically a very profitable company here. We are over 40 locations globally. We have our business that's been around for over 40 years. And so we're very proud to be part of those essential, obviously, companies out there right now with obviously still the pandemic, but being able to provide products to our customers, which is basically plastic film and also plastic packaging. So we are definitely a thriving company here in Ontario. Um, and with that, because of the growth that we're experiencing, we definitely have a need for obviously talent working within our manufacturing environment, which is inline presses, converting lines, extrusion machines. And so just being able to, again, get the right people to join the company who have that kind of talent. So being able to partner with um, colleges, being able to partner with technical schools, just to be able to, again, get the people who have the technical abilities to be able to run and troubleshoot our machines. Also being able to partner with uh, resources within the county. The employment development department has been key in being able to help us with identifying candidates as well. Being part of virtual job fairs has been obviously the new norm now because we can't do it in person. Definitely, I miss the interaction one-on-one with applicants, but we have to obviously do with what's available right now. But definitely, that's been huge. Being able to have that network of companies or resources out there. And then I do belong to, as Rosalinda mentioned, HR Network here within Inland Empire. So it's an actual group of HR professionals that have come together to basically talk on topics that are relevant. Obviously, the more so right now with the challenging times of finding talent out there. And so we are a group of 200 members, and again within Inland Empire primarily. And so it's just coming together with sharing best practices, being able to see what we can do to support each other because we are all in the same challenge, again, finding the right fit for our organizations. And so here, also having to partner with staffing agencies because again, they're also having a way to be able to help us with getting people out there to come join the team. And part of our strategy is to make sure they understand, okay, we want to be able to still interview them to make sure they're the right fit and then be attempt to hire. So, but other practices that we're doing here is being able to offer retention bonus, being creative with that too, having to do the payout of a retention bonus of $500 after 3 months of service. But it's definitely just trying to be very creative with just trying to see how we attract more talent. We have a referral bonus within our employees as well that is another $500 bonus that's paid after 6 months. So yeah, there's definitely a lot, but obviously I don't want to take the whole thunder because I know Monica wants to also share as far as what she's been able to do from her end. But yes, it's definitely something that right now is where we could go ahead and do more as far as organizations to see what we can do to make sure we retain that the talent as well. And so making sure we have town hall meetings, to make sure we have communication, engagement surveys. And then tell me, Rosalinda, if I'm jumping ahead, but I just want to make sure that I share enough to be able to say that there is a lot that like in my company here at TC Transcontinental Packaging, that we could do to help our talent, help our people be part of the company. Again, they're just not a number out there. We definitely know them by first name, last name, and be able to have that engagement to see that we are committed to their success. And so again, the other part that I'll add quickly is that being able to say that we have partnered with Intech, with Chafee College, to make sure that for some positions we have that apprenticeship program where they would be able to, again, help with their development. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, whether it's, we had time today, or you have my contact information, but I'm definitely very approachable. And so I really enjoy being able to interact. And as many people know me here, I could talk a lot. So we'll leave it at that.
But Eduardo, can you share with us some of the innovative ways that that you've seen a lot of the HR representatives throughout the Inland Empire utilize as they're recruiting? I know you had mentioned something about a drive-through recruitment and some other things. Could you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So as far as I know that you and I spoke about this, prior to this meeting, that yes, I've seen also drive-through opportunities that again, as part of us being able to um, kind of be able to have that adjusting to obviously the changes with the pandemic. So those are some of the options that are being offered through even agencies where they actually have applicants coming by, with their vehicle and filling out applications, instead of coming into the office. So we haven't done that here at TC, but I have asked that from our agencies to help us with that. As far as also doing virtual job fairs has been huge. So that's where I've been able to, again, tap into the resources from the county, from San Bernardino County, even Riverside, as well as Los Angeles County, being able to have resources available there. And then obviously being able to offer ourselves, instead, if we can do interviews in person, then we also are able to do the virtual interviews through Microsoft Teams or Zoom, as we're doing today. So just being able to, again, have those as options. But again, having to be creative in order to be able to see how we could go ahead and be able to host or have those kind of interactions with our applicants out there, with the talent that we need.
Outstanding. And a lot of the virtual phone interviews or virtual interviews that were done during COVID, and even as we're starting to transition out of this area, what platforms are you using? I'm just kind of curious. Are you using like Zoom, Google Meets, maybe webinar, any other types? Which platforms do you see
Right.
utilizing?
So right now, what we've been using is primarily Microsoft Teams, and Zoom is it's been my experience.
Okay, great. And hearing from the other HR groups that's within your group, the HR network that you have, about how many HR network and companies are part of that, and what feedback have you had from them to hear in regards to what platforms they've been utilizing?
So within the network, again, we have over 200 members representing over 70 companies here within the Empire. We've also expanded as far as when we've had HR professionals who decided to move on to a different transition into a different company. They've also been able to continue joining the company. I'm sorry, the actual network, even if they're working within the LA County area. But yeah, it's just being able to hear from them, hearing that they're also more accustomed to Zoom is what we've seen. And when we've had to have our own gatherings, because we do have meetings where we have someone hosting every other month. So we used to do it in person, of course, but then we've had to be creative and do it through Microsoft Teams or Zoom to have our meetings, to talk about, again, HR topics, whether it's legal matters, wage and hour updates, with employment law. So we've been able to, again, use primarily those two platforms.
Wonderful. And it's great to hear that feedback, because as companies are utilizing those are platforms that many of our job seekers need to be familiar with utilizing. Sometimes, if I know for myself, I was utilizing Zoom for quite a while, that when I went into a Google Meets, I was a little off, but it was easy to follow. So, have you? What experience have you had with the job seekers as they're on these virtual platforms? As far as maybe give some tips and suggestions on what you've seen that has worked and not worked. Like for example, the lighting or the microphone. I know Monica's working on her end to get connected on the telephone. So we'll be patient, Monica. You know this happens with technology, so don't feel bad. This is a wonderful example of technology because as all of us are working with job seeker and partners, if we stumble and come across a technology issue, we can troubleshoot and guide each other through the process. This way, a job seeker that's going on an interview, if there's no sound, we can say, "Hey, try this technique instead," and they can multitask, such as you are problem solving, Monica. Right? You got your phone, you got your laptop or your
Yeah.
desktop, and it's working. So that's
Yes,
great. And I think we just
thankfully.
lost Sally, a prime example
Oh
of
no.
technology. And so sometimes it could be the internet bandwidth, right? And I'm sure she'll
Right.
jump back on right now. So we'll wait. And we're all flexible, but it does make for some amusing tech challenge and problem solving opportunities for all of us, right?
It cer- it certainly does, and I want to thank Donnie Mineo for being kind enough to also provide a suggestion in the chat box. Way to go, Donnie! Thank you. It appears that my issues were a little more extensive than I had initially thought. So,
So, Monica, do you want to share a little bit of maybe some of the things that you've done that you've adapted and executed in regards to your recruiting efforts with the LA County,
absolutely,
regarding whatever the new
absolutely,
norm is?
absolutely. And I have a little PowerPoint slide deck. I don't know if we have time for that. We may not, but I'll wait. So, in terms of what we've done to acclimate now to the new normal, as Eduardo indicated, which is we now define our lives pre COVID, current COVID situation, post COVID, right? And so I always defined my life according to motherhood, but now this has somehow been the looming theme for me. So in the pre-COVID days, when we were able to meet with candidates face to face and interview and shake hands and ask questions in a personal manner because we were face to face, I had enjoyed that very much. And being an HR professional, as you all are, I think that we all do enjoy that piece of our work is the human interaction. During our COVID pandemic and post COVID, like Eduardo had indicated, we have to become very creative. And just prior to COVID onset, we were doing something at my previous department, which is Department of Mental Health. I was the HR manager there for 2 years prior to coming over to Department of Human Resources. We were doing something which I would call speed interviewing, kind of like speed dating, where we have panelists located at different stations and the candidate would move from table to table to table to be interviewed by these interview panels. And depending on whether or not that person with their skills and experience fit the bill, and of course, if the personality was one that we thought was a good fit for whether it was a clinic or an outlying site, that person could be offered, could be given a contingent offer at that time in terms of coming into the workplace. So that was something that I thought was new and exciting. We haven't done the drive-through interviews, although I've done a drive-through vaccination. So if it's anything similar to that, except instead of coming out with a Band-Aid, Eduardo, we come out with a job, I say thumbs up on that. That is very creative. I'm interested in learning more about that concept, although the County of LA, because we are 111,000 employees over 36 different departments within the county, the coordination effort might be a little hairy, but I do want to definitely pick Eduardo's brain about that. We do have the virtual platforms we use, whether it be Teams, Zoom. We used Skype for a while there, not as popular as it was, but Teams is really the virtual platform of choice here for the County of LA. And because we have what we deem a multi-generational workforce, we have found that it becomes a little more difficult for others to adapt to this new way of applying for jobs and interviewing. So much is now done online, that we also provide support, if you will, whether it be telephonic support or if we make an in-person meeting or appointment such that we're adhering to the 6-foot distancing, wearing gloves, masks, offering sanitization, everything. We've also done that. So I think in this day and age, and I think my colleagues will agree, creativity is paramount, and the ability to be flexible is also paramount. And if that means meeting a candidate at their place of comfort, whether it be in a car or it be, outside in a tented area, whatever the case is, I believe that's what we're doing here. And being one of the largest counties, if not the largest in the nation, I'm proud to say that we have to be flexible and meet people where they are. And so I have found that my colleagues in the exams and onboarding and offboarding and everything in between processing have done so. So that's kind of my take on it, Rosalinda. And I know that Sally probably has some innovative ways that they're also doing that in her business.
Wow, but that's great. And the fact that you're engaging, the county is engaging and going out there and being inclusive as far as trying to find ways to meet the clients or the job seekers and be able to assist in regards to different services, that's incredible. Wow. Thank you. Sally, let me introduce Sally Ruiz. I introduced you already, Sally, just so that you know, and I did provide them with your contact information. I did share that
thank you.
You had a situation at work that you had to take care of online before coming on. So thank you for juggling, and like we know, all of us in the workplace, things come up, and sometimes we have to weigh out the priorities and take care of that. So thank you for handling that and then coming on, and we want to welcome Sally, who is the HR manager at Gerard Daniels Worldwide, one more time. And so we were just asking in regards to what have you adapted or executed in regards to your recruitment outreach efforts during this virtual, I'm going to say norm situation. See, it seems to be a norm now.
Yeah. So first of all, my apologies for being late, but I was late. There's a million of you guys out there, and I came in anyways. So if you are late for an interview, please, please, please show up anyways. Let them know what happened. I was at Kaiser, so I mean that I couldn't avoid it. I ended up being late, but here I am. And thank you all for the warm welcome, and thank you for listening. One of the things that I do a little bit different from a lot of other people is I do what I call reverse recruiting. So on LinkedIn, I go in there, but I don't want to pay the $3,000-$4,000 that LinkedIn is requiring us to pay to get applicants replying to my email. So I go on LinkedIn, I look for keywords in the search, and people pop up. So what I do is I send them, I'm looking for, let's say, an engineer, a mechanical engineer or manufacturing engineer. I will go in, find the manufacturing engineers, and I will send them an in-mail. My in-mail reads something, don't quote me on it if you ever got one, thank you for at least reading it. But it will say something like, my name is Sally. I was doing a random search. I came across your profile, and I wanted to let you know that I'm looking for a manufacturing engineer. Now, this person might not be you because it looks like you're doing well at company ABC, but hopefully you are in contact with other manufacturing engineers that are maybe looking for a job. Because normally if you're looking for somebody, they belong to groups. The HR people have a group that we belong to, and if somebody was looking, we would put it out there. So that's my thought, that they're going to put it out there and hopefully send somebody. If it's not them, sometimes I do get replies back. Oh, you know what? I'm interested. What is this all about? We see what the fit is and whatnot there, but it works a lot. It saves the company money. I used to do it on Indeed, but they stopped letting us do the resume lookups. So I used to do it via resume lookup, and we used to get general laborers through there, just whatever the position was that we needed to fill.
And that's wonderful. And it also shows the importance and the value of utilizing LinkedIn, right? And
Right.
as we had a representative earlier, Sally, just so that you know, speaking about LinkedIn, LinkedIn Learning, and how much LinkedIn is being utilized by professionals and even the youth
Mhm.
nowadays. So the fact that we hear that you're utilizing that as a resource to do reverse recruiting and outreach and referrals is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So on that note, just to everyone out in the audience, it's a great way to update your LinkedIn, get connected with all of us four here on LinkedIn, get connected with all your CPA board members on LinkedIn, as well as making sure that we tell our job seekers to have that LinkedIn updated and maybe provide that as part of our training outreach. And I know many of you already do. Um, so I kind of want to go down to the next question. The next question I have is in regards to, I think you kind of touched on it, Eduardo, collaborating partners. So I kind of want to maybe mention this to Monica and Sally. I'm not sure which one of you want to start, but what type of collaborating partners are you utilizing to extend your recruitment efforts as it pertains to different organizations or different companies or different schools, colleges, or departments within the county, you know, whether it's probation or EDD or the state. So if you can share a little bit, please.
Yeah, this is Monica. So many of our partners, we have what I consider three buckets. We have our education partners, which are comprised of anywhere as early as the high school districts. We work very closely currently with the Antelope Valley Union High School District and the William S. Hart School District, also LACO and LAUSD. We're looking to plant seeds, Rosalinda, a little earlier than later in terms of what types of career options are available to our young people. I know that when I went to school back in the Stone Age, there were 5 disciplines. You were either a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, you were in business, or, you know, you decided to do computer science, and that's when it was just coming up. I still used a typewriter at that time. For those of you who don't know what that is, look it up, Google it, you'll see it. And it's become very interesting the way that these young people learn. Again, the virtual world is something that is the norm for these individuals, and being able to reach out and engage as early as possible is always good. It gives an opportunity for exposure and networking, to talk to real live individuals who work in the industry, and to be able to have, we hope once again, the opportunity to have site visits and be able to job shadow, which is always very important. Again, the community colleges are great. We work very closely with the Antelope Valley College, Santa Clarita. We work with College of the Canyons, the Los Angeles Community Colleges, which is comprised of a number of community colleges. And one that's near and dear to my heart is LA City College, because I taught there for just a short period of time. The universities, of course, all of the Cal State, the UCs, and some private universities. Because we work closely with industry, we are always in contact, and an agency or agencies, community-based agencies like the American Job Center of California, the WorkSource departments, the Jewish Vocational Services, Goodwill Industry, you know, anywhere that we can connect to help individuals that are looking for both short-term and long-term educational and training opportunities. We work closely with Workforce Development, Aging and Community Services. That's another county agency that is very close to the AJCC, and we've met a lot of good connections through that. And of course, private industry. We work closely with Amazon. Amazon has been probably the private industry partner that I've had the most success with in terms of being able to place individuals in meaningful work assignments. We work to help also veterans, you know, anyone who has historically faced barriers to training and employment opportunities, the underserved, closely with DPSS, the Department of Social Services, because of those individuals that are in gain grow programs. We have the TSC programs where we help those who are looking for transitional work as they look to leave dependency on the county system. So those have been a number of partners. And we're also currently working with Stanford University, as they have created a very innovative project known as the Neurodiversity Project, and looking to, expand our vision and meet with more individuals from our neurodiverse community is something that I am very interested in. I am a zealous supporter of our neurodiverse and special needs community. I have two younger brothers who were part of that population, and before it became, something well known and being on the spectrum and all that good stuff, I knew about those types of things in the late 70s, early 80s, and it just wasn't as well received or embraced in that time. So it gives me an opportunity, I think, to give back to a very special part of the population. So, we have our regional fairs, hiring fairs, expos, anything we can do virtually, we're in. So that's probably not the exhaustive list, but what I can think of currently.
Wonderful.
And we're an equal opportunity employer. We reach out to everyone, and and inclusivity, equality is paramount, and we also work very closely with those that are justice involved. So take it away, Eduardo and Sally.
Okay, really quick, I kind of wanted to know before we're going to go to Sally, but Eduardo did put out that he does use reverse recruiting with EDD as well as CalJobs. It has been a challenge too, but it's up to us employers to market ourselves to attract the workforce. And, one of the great things about this California Placement Association is everybody here wants to connect with companies such as yourself. So this is another great platform for you and your network to connect with the CPA members. And so if there are things that are going out, maybe there's a way we can partner up as an organization where we can network throughout the state or throughout different regions to help you with that, to build that network and get you connected and stuff. So thank you. Sally, you want to go ahead and share a little bit?
Sure. So Monica did touch a lot of things. We do overlap quite a bit on what the different companies do as far as reaching out to people to partner with them. We also use the workforce development department. Most of our general laborers are temp to hires, so we're close to the agencies. Luckily, right now, the agencies are wanting everybody's business. They don't have any people to offer, but they are competitive with their markups. So that's always a good thing. And I'm going to add the Intech Center. We also use the Intech Center as part of our partnering to recruit for certain jobs. And I'll let Eduardo finish.
Well, there's a lot that was already shared. So, but I'll also, if I missed this, I'm sorry. If you mentioned this, Monica, but I also want to highlight that, yes, part of us as employers having to also be more accepting or more open, right, to also second chance hiring. Again, being able to be felony friendly, so to speak. I mean, just being able to see that there are individuals out there that are wanting to get that second chance to get back to to the community, to be able to be part of the community. And so I know that we as a company here at TC have been as that question, we'd be willing to do that. And we are. I mean, obviously, we have to just look at the specifics, but we cannot just immediately. And that's also something that we have to be mindful of the legal matters, where we need to be mindful that, hey, let's have that interactive process and let's talk about what situation happened and then go from there. But we have to be open to that because, like I said, there's a lot of those opportunities out there for talent that wants to be, again, part of a company, but they're not being given a chance because of their records, their past records. And again, so I've been part of those virtual calls, even before pandemic, where you have those success stories and you have those individuals that are really committed because they were given a chance and they want to prove that they're going to be part of the company and in the long term. So I want to put that out there because I know that within the HR network, we talk about that too. And so here, and I'm glad you also mentioned, Rosalinda, about, the CPA here, that, I mean, again, because of the network that Sally and I belong to here in the Inland Empire, I mean, we could definitely be able to use this platform of the HR network to be able to, again, put more of our HR professionals, in this kind of virtual meeting, so that we could go ahead and, again, have more resources out there. So I think it's just great that we have this opportunity, and so I'm very honored to be part of this, obviously, call today. So
Thank you, and it truly is an honor and a pleasure for the California Placement Association to have all of you here today, to be able to share your wisdom and your knowledge and your practices, so that we can learn and gain information, so that we can share with others. Just before we go on to another question, I just kind of wanted to go into the chat. There was a comment and a question by Elizabeth. It says Elizabeth, so I'm going to say Elizabeth, even though it has an S on it. So, and she was asking that she's curious to hear from HR recruiters. Which of you use an ATS system to screen applicants, and do you have any tips and suggestions for those applicants? Great question. Thank you, Elizabeth, for asking that. So the ATS systems are you familiar with the tracking systems, right? The automatic artificial intelligence tracking system when they're applying online. Okay.
So I'll take it. We're a smaller company. We have 90 people here in California. We don't utilize that at all. So we do everything manually in our plant, our two facilities both.
So when, just out of curiosity, Sally, I just want to piggyback off of that. So when they apply, is it strictly by resumes, or are they do an application online, but you're screening them themselves? So it's the human eye versus a tracking system, an automated tracking system?
Correct. Usually when they do an application, they have to come in to do it. Otherwise, they'll send in their resume or drop off their resume. And I'm the one that looks at them and sees what's open. If I have a chance when they come by, I will definitely take time to talk to them to see what they're looking for. And sometimes when they come in, I've had the chance, because of the HRNG network, to know that other people are looking for things. So if they come in and I'm looking at it and I'm going, hey, you know what, Eduardo posted for this, that he needs somebody that this would fit, I'll refer them to him and I'll call him and let him know.
Great, thank you. Mm-hmm. Eduardo, do you want to go next? We'll go.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, just like Sally, I mean, we are a small company here in Ontario, as far as the only West Coast operation in Ontario. But I mean, we are, again, talking about over 40 locations globally, really over 4,000 employees within the packaging sector. And surprisingly, no, we don't have that. We are doing more of having to go through Indeed, getting applicants there and doing our own screening. So we're not there yet, surprisingly, but we definitely, again, take the time to go through applicants, making sure that, identifying those key, sections of what their experience, their qualifications, so we definitely take the time and obviously also do our part to make sure we respond back if they're not qualified. I mean, taking the time to also reply back to applicants that, thank you for your interest, but we're looking at other candidates that have more of the qualifications. So I think we have to do our due diligence there as well, not just leave them out there in the dark. But yeah, so out of respect for their time, because they make the effort to apply. But as far as, it's a challenge, again, as I mentioned before, about trying to get the right talent. And so when we actually have hiring flags outside of our facility to attract also as traffic is passing by our building. And so we've been having, we welcome walk-ins. I mean, that's a big one right there too. So we have applications out there. So we still do, that way as well. And so, but as soon as we have someone there, and if obviously I'm not in a meeting or if my assistant's not in a meeting, we make sure we are out there, hey, greeting them, would you like water? Again, being very inviting, because again, we cannot afford to not, to lose track of an applicant, that make the effort to come into our facility. So that is key right there that I wanted to just highlight as well.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that. Yeah, so those applicant tracking system, the ATS, it really is a way that, as Jackie posted on the chat, it's a way it communicates with online applicants as part of the process for HR reps or recruiters. Interesting that, yeah, that not all, as automated as we become online, there are still many companies that are not utilizing that. So, from the LA County point of view, Monica, can you share? Are you utilizing a oh, look at that. She is so quick and on it. She put her link on there. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. This is how you can
No
apply with Monica at the
problem.
county. So, can you share a little bit about
No.
the ATS system that you're utilizing if you are utilizing it?
So we post our jobs on, you may have seen them on government jobs or the NeoGov platform. And so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and provided the link where you can search all job options. And because we receive thousands of applications for exams that open, and I'm not working directly in the exams piece of it, I know that there are mechanisms in place that help to identify whether or not the applicant meets the minimum requirements for the position. So because we're a government agency, local government, we're governed by the civil service rules and county codes. It's a little bit different how we have the application process, the vetting. And once an employee is deemed to have met the threshold and has gone on to what we call eligibility lists. Those are bands, band V through 5V is where there are additional points awarded because one has a veteran status. And you fall into those bands. If you're in a reachable band, you will be contacted then for an interview process. So there are several steps, I will say, and the process by which one is ultimately selected, it can take some time. I know I've met numerous employees or candidates who have indicated, I've been waiting for you to call for the last 6 months, 1 year. I thought you forgot about me. No, it's not that. It's just that as you would suspect, many of the exams that we have, we do receive a voluminous amount of applications. I know sometimes we only have exams open for a limited amount of time because it will overwhelm our system if we have too many individuals submitting their applications. So I applaud Sally and Eduardo because I appreciate, what would this be? The way there's outreach and receptiveness by their companies. Because we're so large, we don't get the opportunity to do that in the same way. That's why as an HR professional, I like to attend the expos and the different career and hiring events because you meet people face to face. They tell you their story. They give you their resume. You shake their hand. Because we do accept applications online, I don't get the opportunity to meet that person or to know anything about them. They've just got to go in, create a profile. If they're interested in a career opportunity, they submit their application. If they meet the minimum requirements and go on to the next step, then they do so. So it is a little bit more involved with the county, I will say. But I don't want to discourage anyone. Please, please, please visit our website where you can go ahead and do employment searches, create job interest cards, create profiles, and we have employment tools like interviewing skills, how to hone up on your interviewing skills, resume building, that sort of thing. So I don't know that I answered your question right on, Rosalinda, but we have various systems in place. And remember, each department, line department, has their own HR too, and their specialty exams for something like a children's social worker, an eligibility worker for DPSS, or a police officer for LASD. So many different variations.
And so the ones that get screened out to be able to move forward, so what I'm understanding is that's done automatically through the ATS system. So those are the ones that'll come your way, the ones that filter in and are approved by the system?
Well, we do have people, the exam managers who actually look at those applications also, and that's what takes some time because some things cannot default to artificial intelligence. They have to be reviewed also by the human eye, and so it's a combination of things, I would say.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for that. So that's good.
No,
That's a
thank
good
you.
tip to know. I know that if candidates are doing the ATS system, they always mention to make sure that we put in or we ask them to put in those qualifying factors that the job descriptions indicate. So it's good to hear that there's
Agreed.
also the human eye looking at it in case it's not verbally worded the same way.
Yes, but I do encourage any candidate to, study the exam bulletin, ensure that you're reaching all points and that you're highlighting all points as to minimum requirements and what is needed, because sometimes what will happen is we think in our minds, oh, okay, they'll know exactly what I mean when I indicate this. Make sure you're speaking on point to all of the requirements, whether they be minimum requirements or desirables. And don't be afraid to brag on yourself. This is your opportunity to showcase and highlight what you've done. And when you're seeing thousands upon thousands of applications, yeah, you're looking for the best talent and for the most qualified, but you as the candidate have to advocate for yourself and make sure that you highlight your strengths and that you show what you've done. There are just too many people who are submitting applications for us to be able to say, oh, John Doe, yes, you're right. This is what you meant when you put this. Be very specific. And like I said, this is your opportunity to brag on yourself. It's okay. If not there, then I don't know where, make sure to do so. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, and let me add on that too. I mean, thank you for pointing that out, Monica, because I think that's, to me, that's even goes back to the basics, right? When it comes to you applying for a job, if you're going to be applying for that job, make sure that you are really looking at the job description to tailor your resume to match the job description. I mean, that especially with an ATS, you have to do that. I mean, so the keywords, I mean, so that is huge, Monica. So thank you for reminding, because that's the basics when it comes to applying for a job.
So true. Thank
you. Yeah, no,
that.
it definitely is, Eduardo. But I think also, again, we're in a multi-generational workforce, and what I saw maybe coming up, I became a student worker here at the county in 1989. Some of our folks weren't even born in 1989. And so things have changed so much. It's an evolving workforce, the expectation, the trends, best practices, so much has changed. But I will tell you, the one thing that has not changed is speaking to the qualifications that are required and making sure that you cover that. That seems foundational, but sometimes that may get lost. So I want to impress upon the audience how important it is to address the ask in the exam bulletin, in the application process, and everything else involved.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Kind of want to open it up to the audience. We're at 11:48. We have about 12 minutes left, but it would be great to hear from the audience if they have any questions. I definitely don't want to take up all the time with the questions. I would like them to ask as well. So definitely want to open this up so I can have you all engaged. For those of you that, oh, here we go. Do you recommend cover letters? And this is from Victoria Gamarecel, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And if I'm not, please accept my apologies.
Also, so I do read the cover letters when the cover letters are put on there. However, for my managers and supervisors that are hiring in those positions, they don't utilize them.
Okay.
So it's going to really be up to the person.
I know with us, I mean, we definitely, that's critical when it comes to where we're asking for great communication, verbal and written skills. I mean, so that's where you'll be able to identify when someone has, of course, identify their written skills. And so definitely it's a plus. I mean, I wouldn't shy away from that. And so I definitely would continue to encourage that.
Thank you, Eduardo. Monica?
Yes, I would also encourage a cover letter. Again, like Sally and Eduardo indicated, not necessary. Seems to be something that we've done in the past. However, you do have an opportunity to upload your cover letter with the rest of your documents when applying for a county job. So I would say yes. It gives a good intro to the resume and allows you to summarize in short what the objective is that you seek and what your qualifications are.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have another question from Margaret, and Margaret's asking, would you recommend letters of recommendation to also be included in that?
I would. We do background checks for Gerard Daniel, and I use those references, so it's not like I'm not going to call them. I call those people that are writing these reference letters. Sometimes you get some reference letters that the person's friend wrote. signed by somebody else. And this is where we find out. Recently, I did get an applicant who turned in his resume, a 1-page resume, but when I got it through, there was 24 pages. And what he did was he attached all his certifications on there. So we had proof that within the last 2 years, he was certified in this, he was certified in that, he was certified in that. So that kind of helped us narrow to where we can go with him.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing that as well. Here's another question by Sarah Chavez. She's asking, should those working remotely be adding that to their resume as a skill set, or how would you recommend listing that as part of their experience?
I like hearing that because it shows that you obviously have mastered technology, which has been a challenge for some of us, present company included. And I think that it is a skill set because I think that the workplace of tomorrow will look very much like it does today. I don't know that we'll ever have an opportunity to go back to an office full time. There will probably be a hybrid, if you will, of telework / on-site work. And hoteling is huge, where you just bring your laptop in and do some work at the office, whatever is necessary that you couldn't accomplish at home due to maybe extensive printing on a printer or what have you.
But let's, okay, not sure what happened.
Okay. So yes, in summary, I would definitely highlight that you are a flexible individual, able to complete deadlines, meet deadlines, and work projects, anything that's crucial, whether it's something that you do at your place of business or home, and that you are open to being flexible, telecommuting, and also on-site, because I do believe that's definitely the wave of the future.
Okay, so we got a lot of questions coming in, so maybe what I'm going to do is just kind of ask one person. So I'm going to say, since you ended, let's go to the question from Donnie Mineo. And Donnie, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. 1 or 2 personal characters you are looking for in a great candidate. So what are 1 or 2 personal characters? And if you could just say what they are so we can kind of quickly go around the room real fast.
Honesty and friendliness.
Ooh, I like that.
Respect and reliability.
Great ones.
Yeah, and I would say integrity for sure, and also respectfulness. Courteous and respectfulness is paramount.
Okay.
And accountability.
Perfect. Thank you. Great question, Donnie. Appreciate
Rosalinda,
that.
I wanted to go back to Eileen. Sorry, I'm not going to try the last name. Eileen A. Yes, thank you. She was asking about follow-ups, how much is enough or how much is too much. Don't be a stalker. Definitely, if you can get a hold of the person.
Don't ghost and don't stalk. I like that.
Yeah, if you can get a hold of the person, ask them, can I check back with you in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 days? You know, what do you want me to call you on? But yeah, it's, I would say at least a week at a time.
Wonderful. Okay, great.
Thank you, Sally, for answering my question. And yes, you got it right, Arencibia. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I skipped that one, huh? Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Let's see. So I kind of see a combination of things. One of them is, what tips do you have to make a resume stand out? And then there was another one that's also asking, so I'm going to kind of like double it up. Any tips on maybe getting your foot in the door to be considered for a job when maybe you're a little shy, right? Or maybe you're a little shy of some of the required or preferred qualifications. And then we'll go into Luis and Margaret's question next.
You want me to start off? I'll start off. So a lot of times we ask for a bachelor's for our engineers. We need them to be degreed. However, there are times that the amount of time that you've put behind that equivalates to the same level of education. You can prove yourself by showing what you've done in the position that you're in versus the experience you have to the position you want. So if you have taken the initiative, taken the lead, completed projects, had your follow through, versus somebody who has just book learned the information, that's a big difference.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else?
I mean, it was well put right there by Sally. I mean, and again, I go back to the same thing as I mentioned before about how you tailor your resume to what you are applying for. I could tell you too. I mean, I don't know why this came up in my head, but when we used to have job fairs on site, I remember we had the very last minute closing our job fair, and we had an applicant that actually came running, literally running to make sure that he came in and just trying to sell himself. I mean, and that stood out to me. And sure enough, that person got a job. I mean, because just the enthusiasm, just again showing that I could do this job, and of course listing their qualifications. I mean, but that was huge when it came down to, and then again that was years ago when that happened. But things like that, I mean, how do you stand out from the rest? And so putting yourself out there, really trying to sell yourself, really trying to show that you want to be part of the company. I mean, that is huge for sure.
Wonderful. We have one from Luis Obravia. Would you encourage participants to add their LinkedIn profile link or any web pages that they may have as any of their online examples and embed that into the resume? Great question as we become more tech savvy. I like that. I'm eager to hear. A simple yes or no would work.
I say yes.
Yes, and I think also though that one must also be hyper vigilant in terms of what they to display on social media. Please don't get too cheeky. I know that sometimes people will try to bedazzle their resumes and add headshots on there, and it's a very interesting mix of applications and resumes and social media that we're receiving nowadays. What exactly is the protocol, the professional protocol? It's hard to say because it depends on industry as well. Depends on the type of job that you're applying for. Of course, in an industry like entertainment, versus government, local government, the norm is different and the standard is different. But I just know your audience. That's something that I want to impress upon everyone. Know your audience, do your research, go to the website, understand the genesis of the company or the job or what it is that you're doing. Do your research. It pays. And in this day and age, there's no reason why you shouldn't be already equipped with the information that you need in order to provide some background to an employer when you do get an interview. Like I said, you're your number one advocate. Do your research, be prepared, and remain, at the ready, because like Eduardo said, that person who booked it from the parking lot over to the tent to give him his resume, boy, that shows tenacity. That shows someone who was interested, who was ready to go. A zealous employee is a good employee. So just do your research and be prepared.
All right, we got.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, that's great, Monica. I know that, yes, I think that's great to add that to about social media. But also, if you're going to put yourself out there, I mean, when you're putting your phone number to first call and then the voicemail is full, can't accept any messages, or you have the music in the background and that's not appropriate. I mean, you have to just be very well prepared with that too. I mean, especially when you're applying and you're expecting calls from employers. So that's huge for sure.
Great, thank you. There's a great question coming down. I just lost it because it just went. Hold on. So this one came from Margaret, and I kind of lost where I was. So give me a second. The question is, if you apply for a position and you're denied, and there's another similar position that comes up, and you kind of change the wording around so that it highlights and it matches better to that job description. So here we go. I found it. What if a candidate applies for a position and the candidate is denied? Then a similar position opens. Is it okay to submit another application and reword things to better highlight a match for that job? Or would the screener frown upon that, looking at it as though the candidate is not telling the truth? Thank you for that question, Margaret. Great question. I'd like to know too.
I mean, I get at as far as what happened here. We had someone who applied for machine operator, printing operator, extrusion operator, and then but I mean, I got a good first impression from him, and it ended up being where his work hours that we have for those positions were not suitable for his personal needs. So, which is fine. I mean, but he was very good about telling me, oh, I will not be able to be part of that interview because I had scheduled him for an interview. And then a week later, I see the name again pop up, but he applied for a process specialist. And so in that those are different hours, and looking at his background, he did have some of that background as well. So I did not obviously say no, because again, he had left a good impression to begin with. So that it all depends on that too, and how you initiated that first impression, and then go from there.